Hey everyone, Noir here. Grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's Reddit story. Today's story is about Olivia. For 6 years, she helped build her younger sister Chloe's skincare brand from absolutely nothing. She designed the logo, built the website, created every social media account, ran every ad, answered every customer, packed every order. Meanwhile, Chloe smiled for the camera. She filmed short videos. She became the face everyone recognized. Olivia never cared about the spotlight. She just wanted one thing: to be appreciated. Unfortunately, her parents had very different plans. Growing up, Chloe had always been the favorite. Whenever she had an idea, the whole family celebrated. Whenever Olivia solved a problem, her parents would simply say, "You're just good with computers." Those computer skills quietly built a company worth millions. When Chloe announced she wanted to launch a skincare brand, everyone got excited. There was only one problem. She had absolutely no idea how to build a business. So everyone turned to Olivia. "Can you just help her get started?" That's all they asked. At least, that's what Olivia believed. One weekend turned into 1 month. 1 month turned into 6 years. She created the company's name, designed the logo, built the online store, opened every social media account, learned digital marketing from scratch, stayed up until 2 in the morning packing orders. While Chloe became the face of the company, every interview praised Chloe. Every magazine called her a brilliant entrepreneur. Nobody mentioned Olivia. Not once. Still, she stayed. Because she believed loyalty would eventually be rewarded. She had no idea. Her family had already decided who would get all the credit. A week later, her father invited everyone to a company celebration. He smiled and said, "You're going to love what we have planned." Olivia smiled back. She thought this was finally her moment. She couldn't have been more wrong. Would you have kept helping your family or walked away much sooner? Let's see what Olivia decided to do next. Dad rented out an entire rooftop restaurant to celebrate the company's 5th anniversary. Employees were dressed up. Influencers were taking photos. There was a huge screen showing the company's biggest milestones. Every picture featured Chloe. Every achievement had her name underneath it. Olivia didn't think much of it. She assumed the company had simply chosen the public face. After all, she had never cared about fame. She just wanted to keep building. Halfway through dinner, Dad walked onto the stage. He tapped his glass. "Can I have everyone's attention?" The room went quiet. He smiled proudly. "I've never been more proud of what this family has accomplished." Everyone applauded. Then he looked at Chloe. "My daughter turned a small dream into one of the fastest growing skincare brands in the country." More applause. Olivia smiled and clapped too. She honestly thought he was about to thank the team. Instead, Dad continued. "As we enter this next chapter, I've decided to officially appoint Chloe as CEO." The room erupted. People stood up. Some even cheered. Chloe hugged Mom. Then Dad looked toward Olivia. "And as for Olivia, we've decided to move in a different direction." Olivia blinked. She thought she had misheard him. Dad smiled politely. "Your position is no longer needed." The room fell silent. One employee accidentally dropped his fork. Olivia slowly stood up. "I'm sorry. What exactly does that mean?" Dad kept smiling. "It means today is your last day." Mom quickly added, "You've done enough. It's time to let Chloe lead on her own." Olivia looked around the room. Several employees couldn't even make eye contact with her. One of the designers looked completely shocked. The warehouse manager quietly whispered, "This has to be a joke." It wasn't. Dad reached under the table. He pulled out a cardboard box. "Already prepared. Your personal belongings are inside." That was the moment everything clicked. They hadn't made this decision today. They had planned it. Days ago. Maybe weeks. Olivia looked at Chloe. She expected her little sister to say something. Anything. Instead, Chloe quietly said, "It's just business." Those 4 words hurt more than being fired. Olivia didn't argue. She didn't cry. She simply picked up the box. As she walked toward the exit, one employee stood up. Then another. Within seconds, nearly half the staff were watching her leave instead of applauding the celebration. Nobody stopped her. Nobody knew what to say. She reached her car, placed the box in the trunk, sat behind the wheel, and for the first time in 6 years, she opened LinkedIn. Not to look for a job, but to announce that she was finally available. She had no idea someone very important was about to read that post. Be honest. Did you see that coming? Because things are only about to get worse. The next evening, Olivia arrived at her parents' house. Everything looked normal. Mom was smiling. Dad was grilling in the backyard. Chloe was sitting at the table scrolling through her phone. If Olivia didn't know any better, she would have thought nothing had happened. Mom hugged her the second she walked in. "I'm so glad you came." Olivia didn't hug her back. She simply sat down. Dinner started with small talk. The weather. Vacation plans. The business. Nobody mentioned the fact that Olivia had been fired. Not until Dad finally cleared his throat. "So, how's the job search going?" Olivia smiled. "It's going surprisingly well." Dad nodded. "That's good. We were a little worried." Olivia almost laughed. "Worried?" Mom quickly interrupted. "What your father means is, we don't want there to be any hard feelings." Olivia looked around the table. "So why am I really here?" The room went quiet. Dad folded his hands. "The company is going through a few adjustments." Olivia already knew where this was going. Mom forced a smile. "A few employees resigned." Dad continued. "Our marketing numbers are dropping. The website traffic is down almost 40%. Olivia stayed silent. Then Chloe spoke for the first time. "We just need you to help until we hire someone." Olivia looked directly at her. "You fired me." Chloe sighed. "Don't make this emotional. It's business." Olivia smiled. "Funny. That's exactly what you told me when you fired me." Nobody said a word. Dad leaned forward. "We're willing to pay you." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Oh? How much?" Dad answered confidently. $5,000. Olivia almost laughed. "A month?" Dad looked confused. "No. For the project." She couldn't believe what she was hearing. They wanted her to rebuild a multi-million-dollar business. For $5,000. Mom reached for her hand. "Your family." Olivia gently moved her hand away. "Exactly. I was family when you needed someone to build the company. But somehow, I stopped being family the day it became successful." Dad's face turned red. "You wouldn't even have this career without us." Olivia looked him straight in the eyes. "No. You wouldn't have that company without me." Silence. Complete silence. Then Olivia reached into her bag. She placed a folder on the table. Dad frowned. "What's this?" "My employment records." She slid another document across the table. "The original website registration." Another one. "The trademark application." Another. "The advertising accounts." Every single document listed one name: Olivia Parker. Even the company's original domain had been purchased using her personal credit card. Chloe slowly picked up the papers. Her face lost all color. Dad looked at Olivia. "Why are you showing us this?" Olivia calmly stood up. "Because someone else asked to see them yesterday." Dad frowned. "What someone?" Olivia smiled for the first time that evening. "North Star Ventures." The room froze. Mom whispered, "The investors?" Olivia nodded. They wanted to know who actually built the company. Then she walked toward the front door. As she reached the handle, Dad shouted, "Olivia!" She turned around. "What did you tell them?" She smiled. "The truth." Then she walked out. Behind her, nobody at that dinner table realized that the truth was about to cost them millions. If you were Olivia, would you expose the truth in front of everyone? Or keep quiet? Let's find out. The following morning, Daniel Reed arrived at the family company's headquarters. This wasn't a casual visit. He represented the firm's largest investment partner. Everyone in the office knew who he was. Dad greeted him with a huge smile. "Daniel. Great to see you. We've got exciting plans for this year." Daniel shook his hand. "I'm sure you do. But before we discuss the future, I have a few questions." They all walked into the conference room. Chloe sat confidently at the head of the table. Mom brought coffee. Dad started presenting sales numbers. Daniel barely looked at the screen. Instead, he opened Olivia's folder. "I met with Olivia yesterday." The room immediately went quiet. Dad forced a smile. "She's no longer involved with the company." "I know," Daniel replied. "That's exactly why I'm here." He placed several documents on the table. The original website registration. The first advertising accounts. The trademark filings. The influencer contracts. He looked directly at Chloe. "Can you explain why nearly every major business asset was originally created by Olivia?" Nobody answered. Daniel continued. "I also reviewed the marketing reports. The company's biggest growth periods happened under Olivia's campaigns." He closed the folder. "So let me ask a very simple question. Who actually built this business?" Chloe nervously cleared her throat. "We all worked together." Daniel looked at her. "No. My question was very specific." Again. Silence. Finally, Dad spoke. "Olivia handled the technical side." Daniel slowly nodded. "So she built the website?" "Yes." "Managed advertising?" "Yes." "Negotiated influencer contracts?" "Yes." "Created your customer retention strategy?" Dad looked down. "Yes." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "So why was she fired?" Nobody had an answer. After almost 10 seconds of silence, Daniel stood up. "I think I've heard enough." Dad quickly followed him. "Daniel, wait. You don't understand." Daniel stopped at the door. "No. I understand perfectly. We invested because we believed this company had exceptional leadership." He looked back at Chloe. "It turns out you fired that leadership." Then came the sentence that changed everything. "North Star Ventures is officially withdrawing its investment." Mom nearly dropped her coffee. Dad's face turned white. Chloe stood up. You can't do that. Daniel calmly replied. We already did. He handed Dad a formal letter. Our legal team will contact you this afternoon. Without another word, he walked out. 3 hours later, the news spread through the office. Employees started whispering. Several managers quietly updated their resumes. The company's biggest beauty influencer announced she was ending their partnership. By the end of the week, the brand's reputation had taken a massive hit. Meanwhile, Olivia received a phone call. It was Daniel. I have some good news. We'd like to invest in your company instead. Olivia smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. For the first time, someone wasn't choosing Chloe. They were choosing her. At this point, who do you think was really responsible? The parents? Or Chloe? The ending changes everything. 2 weeks later, Olivia's new company officially launched. It wasn't a giant corporation. Just a small team. A tiny office. And a second chance. But this time, everything belonged to her. Daniel kept his promise. North Star Ventures became the first investor. Within 3 months, the new skincare brand was already attracting thousands of customers. People loved the honest marketing, the simple packaging, and the fact that Olivia actually listened to customer feedback. Meanwhile, her family's company was falling apart. Without fresh investment, projects were cancelled. Orders slowed down. Employees kept resigning. Even longtime suppliers started asking for payment upfront. Then one afternoon, someone knocked on Olivia's office door. She looked up. It was Dad. For a few seconds, neither of them said a word. He looked older. Tired. Like he hadn't slept in days. Finally, he spoke. We need your help. Olivia calmly closed her laptop. I thought Chloe was the CEO. Dad sighed. She can't fix this. You can. Olivia looked at him. So now you finally know who built the company? He lowered his head. Yes. It was the first honest thing she'd heard from him in years. Then he placed a folder on her desk. We're offering you 50% of the company. Olivia smiled. A year ago, she would have accepted without thinking. Today, she pushed the folder back. No. Dad looked confused. No? I've already built one successful company. I'm not interested in rebuilding the one that fired me. He sat there in silence. You'd really let it fail? Olivia answered without hesitation. I didn't fail the company. You did. Dad slowly stood up. I guess this is goodbye. Olivia nodded. I think it is. He walked to the door. Before leaving, he turned around one last time. I'm sorry. Olivia believed he meant it. But some apologies come too late. She smiled politely. I forgive you. But I'm not coming back. Dad quietly nodded. And walked away. Months later, Olivia's company was thriving. Her family's business officially filed for bankruptcy. For the first time in her life, success wasn't being handed to someone else. It belonged to the person who had actually earned it. Sometimes people think the loudest person in the room built the success. But this story proves something different. The real builder is often the one working quietly behind the scenes. And eventually, the truth always catches up. So, what do you think? Did Olivia make the right choice by walking away for good? Or would you have given your family one more chance? Let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next Reddit story.